amount of progress you make is always going to be on you. Growing up, I always used to have a little bit of a victim mindset. I was always bothered about external circumstances, and I blamed others rather than blaming myself. I was more so focused on what other people were doing and how they got faster results than me, why they got leaner than me, why they got bigger than me, quicker. Yet I weren't even able to do the basics and do the basics consistently. I started taking steroids in 2022 now, and I actually went down that route way earlier than I should do, or than I should have done. I went there looking for a quick fix, without looking at the absolute fundamentals, without looking at the basics that's going to allow me to get a result in the first place. Most people look for that magic supplement, that magic pill, magic meal timings, training split that's going to allow you to get a result. And then sometimes, more often than not, it's more common than you think, turn to steroids to try and speed up the process without even having the fundamentals in place. The fundamentals are going to be the food that you eat, the intensity behind your training, the cardio that you do, and how consistent you can be with all of those things. It's a very simple process, it's just not easy to execute. When it comes to progress, it's consistency, it's effort, it's intensity, and it's the amount of effort you're willing to put in over time that makes all the difference. Not your meal timings, not the supplements that you bought from the supplement shop, not the creatine monohydrate, not your hydration supplements, not your pre-workouts, not your whey protein powders. It's going to be how much food can you eat? How consistent can you be? Are you going to be in alignment with your phase, with the amount of calories that you're eating? And can you be consistent with what you're doing with your training? And how much effort can you put into all of that? That's what matters. So to track back to 2022, I wanted faster results. And I thought to myself, right, if I start taking steroids, take a little bit of testosterone, that might actually lead me to get quicker results. I was still going out drinking on the weekends, which you can do when you're taking steroids to an extent. But you've also got to be aware that it ain't the best for you, and it can cause more stress than it's worth, which leads to more spots, more acne. And if you are someone like me who's acne prone, you end up with, well, a back full of acne, which is exactly what happened because I weren't looking after myself. My lifestyle did not warrant taking steroids. If you are going to go down a route of taking performance enhancing drugs, it's something that you need to think about for a lot longer than most people do. It's not just a case of buying a vial of testosterone and buying some needles and then just sticking a needle in your shoulder or your bum. It's a long-term decision, and that long-term decision can have detrimental effects if you don't understand the repercussions or how to look after yourself properly. But you know what it taught me? Well, that was me, probably after about a year of taking steroids. It don't look like it, and to be honest, I'm embarrassed to say that because I wasted my time, I wasted my money. I weren't in a financial situation to be able to afford health supplements. I weren't in a financial situation to afford blood work. Yeah, I was that irresponsible. And I ordered gear because it was cheaper than getting blood work done. Because it was cheaper than buying health supplements. And I wanted that quicker result. And I didn't get that quicker result. And why is that? The quicker result didn't come because I weren't consistent with my food. I didn't stick to a certain phase for long enough to see a significant change. If I had fat to come off, I wouldn't dig deep or dig hard enough to get the fat off to put myself in a good position to be able to grow. If I was in a gaining phase or a bulk, well, I'd push myself out of my comfort zone and eat a little bit more than I needed to, but the consistency with food wasn't necessarily there. I would always focus on hitting the calories, but the quality of the food took a bit of a backseat when the food got a bit higher, which for some people it can do, but for me, it happened too early on. And my training wasn't really up to par. My intensity wasn't really there. If you tried to get me to do cardio, I'd tell you to fuck off. And these are the things that you need to look after. One, cardiovascular is going to be helpful for your heart, not just for the phase that you're in. It's beneficial year round. Your training intensity is literally going to dictate the amount of muscle that you can build. The amount of stimulus that you place on a muscle and the progressive element of that is the thing that's going to help you build muscle. The steroids aid recovery. And I thought that, well, if I take a little bit of that and I train a little bit and I eat relatively consistent, so I'm going to see results. No. And it all doesn't sound very pretty, does it? Because most people want that creatine monohydrate, or they want that supplement that's going to help, or that magic meal timing, or that magic training split that's going to help you grow a little bit more, grow a little bit faster. And I really wish it worked like that, but it don't. 99% of people, 99.9% of people, they're missing the element of consistency and the element of effort. And that's what, for me, I missed for a long time. And the amount of progress that I made over the past couple of years isn't from just steroids. Yeah, have I take performance enhancing drugs. Have I done multiple cycles? Yes, I have. Has that increased the rate of growth? Yeah. Do I still look like you'd expect on steroids? Probably not. There's some sort of false misconception now with social media and what is actually realistic with steroids. And it's all going to be individual dependent on how far someone is willing to push with the amount of gear they're willing to take, and also genetic response. And that's what people don't take into account when it comes to steroid use. But that's not the topic of discussion. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the progress that I've made has come down to having phases, sticking the phases out, being consistent, putting in effort, and then making sure that I don't give in. And even if things aren't perfect at points, from days to even a week, when things haven't been the best, over the course of the year, there's been more times of progression and more times focused on progress than there has been stagnant. For you lot that overcomplicate the process, for you that overcomplicates what needs to be done, and for you that compares to other people, don't compare yourself to anyone else. Don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to anyone that you see on the internet. What you need to focus on is you. What do you need to focus on right now? Do you eat consistently? Do you track your food? If not, start tracking your food. Assess what you're doing right now for the week. Are you tracking your food? How often are you training? How much cardio are you doing? How many steps that you do on average? Is there anything that we can change from the off? And change one thing. If you're someone that's experienced dieting before and you've done a diet and you've successfully done it, you might be able to go a little bit more aggressive like I have. You might be able to throw everything in at once. You might be able to start doing cardio, start doing higher amounts of steps, start with a meal plan and go more aggressive with calories. And you might still be able to uphold training performance, because that's going to be the biggest factor in a diet. Everyone is going to be different with the approach that they take, but it all comes down to the fundamental principles of food, tracking, accuracy, consistency with training, effort with training, and making sure that the approach that you follow, you're consistent with, and you make sure you do it for a set amount of time and monitor that progress. Monitor your body weight, monitor your physique, how it's changing, and monitor your training performance, and make sure that that is going to be the most important factor when it comes to maintaining muscle tissue when you're dieting, and also building muscle tissue when you're gaining. Hopefully you found this one useful, and if you're new around here, then do us a favour, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.